Good, we're on.
BOCC meeting for Custer County will come to order. Today is April the 3rd. The time is 9 o'clock a.m. Mr. Jolly, would you do the honor in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I will.
Thank you, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Pretty authoritative Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
We're getting pretty good at
We are.
Did this for you.
Better. Madam Clerk, would you conduct the roll call, please?
Commissioner Flowers.
Present.
Commissioner Cannon.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen?
None here.
Nor do I.
No, sir.
Audience introductions?
Keep you with the Sentinel.
Still?
And again.
And again?
Bob Jolly from the airport.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you. Approval of the... Did I skip?
Nope,
Oh.
not yet.
Thought I was getting the eye over there. Thought maybe I did something.
Nope.
Approval of the minutes from March 20th, I believe. Yeah, March 20th. We'll talk about that in a minute, Mr. Kanda. I would move that we approve the minutes of March 20th BOCC
I
meeting.
move, or I second that.
That was held in Wetmore. They moved and seconded to approve the minutes discussion. Everything looked good. That was our assistant BOCC clerk's efforts, so thank you, ma'am.
She did very well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Except for the roll call.
Yeah, well, you know,
Next time.
I've seen our full-time clerk struggle with the roll
She
call.
couldn't remember where she worked.
Remember who I was.
Further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Minutes of February or March 20th have been approved. Thank you, ma'am, for taking care of that. Commissioner items. Commissioner Prince.
Nothing official. Spoke to Rusty this morning. He has his truck en route. Should be here hopefully Friday. Since we previously approved it, I told him that I didn't feel another board meeting was necessary, that chair could just go ahead and sign the paperwork that we've already previously approved.
Yeah.
I mentioned to Kelly that there is a bill in the Senate right now that the sheriff brought to the Westcliff town meeting yesterday, that if a judge is, that the statute will say that a judge must release someone, if a judge finds to release someone from custody either with bail or whatever, personal cognizance, the judge must, the sheriff must release him from prison or the jail within a 2-hour period. That, Sheriff Barley said, is not normally a problem, but if it happens later in the evening or on a weekend, he may be asking for more people to add on to his staff. So I just wanted to mention those two things.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Kanda?
Nothing new.
Okay. I just have one thing. I went home and watched the live stream of the meeting yesterday. I didn't watch it in its entirety, but I watched about 2 hours and 20 minutes of it. And I want to make a couple friendly suggestions to us, not to you gentlemen, to all three of us, because believe me, I certainly critiqued myself when I watched that video. And that's why I watched it, to see what the public was looking at. I really had not watched a long meeting or a meeting in its entirety. I've gone back and researched a couple things, but I just wanted to sit and watch that thing, and I was a little discouraged about a couple things. One is I've noticed in a meeting when I move forward to either look at something on my computer or write something down, obviously I'm a block between you guys, and I noticed several times you had to back up and look around to continue talking. So I will try to stay back here during discussion as much as I can. It was very disconcerting for me. Felt like I was disrupting the flow of those conversations. So the other thing I noticed was that we, as all three of us, I'm not pointing out anyone more than the other, I think we're all three guilty of talking over each other. That and interrupting, I just believe if we really concentrate on trying to do a better job, it will look more professional. I think it will
Takes the humanity out of it.
well, if it takes the humanity out of it, I'm good with that as long as it ups the professionalism. But I was just thinking, I hope that would help to reduce some of the frustrations that one of us may feel we can't feel like we can finish what we're saying. So those were the three big things. The voice thing, that's what this is all about now. The audio was terrible. Commissioner Kanda, of course, could project his voice pretty well and did good. The microphone, here's the microphone on the end of this tablet was set here, and so it picked you up very well. It didn't to me because I usually have my computer open and it blocked that. And then of course, do I need to say anything more about?
No, I'm guilty. I
So
will do my best to project.
So I moved this down, not to cut you out of the thing, but I don't think
I'm
we're going to have
getting
any
tight
trouble.
over here, but
Yeah, and that's, so
We're gonna
here's
have to
the
talk.
thing, yeah, we can keep sliding. So that was the idea. Now, I'll check it after today's meeting. If this totally blocks you out because of my computer, then we're gonna have to do something.
it won't block me out. no.
It might help having it like that.
Yeah.
It also is against
Right,
my
the
computer.
The speaker was actually pointing to the back of her computer, so.
So that might help.
I wouldn't be able to hear the room probably.
And then,
We'll hear Jackson and
Have no
Bob.
fear saying to me, please speak up.
yeah,
I recognize
yeah.
that that's not one of my strong points, so please just, I will never be upset if you do that.
My darling bride was quick to point out that I have some issues myself, and one of them I found out, and I watched it.
Admit
She's
it.
right.
It's okay.
I have a tendency to sit here like this and study my computer, and then my voice gets absorbed in all of it. So yeah, the whole mumbling thing. So just food for thought. I'll watch this meeting today and see if this arrangement helps any. But that's why we've had to tape up a power strip to the table and plug this back in because it wouldn't even reach the floor. So that's all I had.
You're gonna get excited and everything's gonna go dark when you kick out the clothes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anything else, gentlemen? Commissioner items?
No, sir.
Attorney items?
The only thing I did was wrote another letter to that collection agency, which is, and I sent it all to you, I'm not
Yes.
sure you got it, and that's an agenda item, so we'll talk about that.
I said yes. I'm not sure. Let me check. And
He did.
I need to back up as well because I was going to ask. I signed the letter. Did you sign the letter this morning?
Yes.
To
Just kinda.
I got it.
okay. All right. So we'll want to get that back to Meredith so she can make copies of it after it's been signed. I don't see that I
I don't
got it.
have your letter either.
Really?
You got it
Yeah.
from?
I had sent you a copy of the first letter I sent.
I may have the wrong letter.
Okay.
Like Jay sent the wrong thing.
I don't have it.
No, I don't need it.
Let me see.
Copy of
Maybe.
the current letter. And Meredith,
Yes,
I
sir.
did see.
I guess if they didn't get this, can you just make a photocopy of this whole
Scan it.
thing for all three of them?
Yeah, that's a better idea.
Scan
Yeah, I've
it
got it.
in for them, I guess.
Would you like a scan copy?
Scan, please.
Scan?
Yes.
Because I wrote him a letter back on March 7th or something like that, and
No, I don't.
told him we weren't going to pay that
Different.
extra amount.
Okay.
I do not have it.
There was a document somebody asked, they couldn't remember what the date was or whatever, and I pulled that out of my file. And we did receive that some time ago. Does that show the balance of that 347?
Oh, this is Round Mountain. That,
Oh,
we're
okay,
talking about
I'm sorry, I
the
gave you the wrong
Century
one,
thing.
yeah,
Excuse me.
no, I gave you the wrong one.
I asked Donna to get me a copy of that invoice that we got from CenturyLink. I don't remember, I think the 345 was on there, but Gary declined to pay that.
Right.
We paid for the actual damage, not their 2% fee for sending out a letter.
Yeah,
So anyway, when we got the first collection letter, I wrote to them, no acknowledgement that they ever got that letter when we got this newest one, so I wrote again, and that's, you'll have those in front of you, and if you
Okay.
approve, we can send out the second letter saying we're not gonna pay that.
and I've got this invoice, do you want me to have her print a copy real quick? Or do
Yeah,
you have it?
that would be fine.
Okay. I just remember yesterday somebody asking about the date, when we were invoiced, and January 7th, 2019, so.
And I asked Donna to get that information from her, I haven't heard from her yet, but I just wanted to know when we got the invoice and how quickly we paid it.
Yeah, I think we paid it fairly quickly after we got the invoice. We didn't get invoiced for almost 6 or 8 months. Correct. When we got it, we paid it, so.
I emailed those letters.
Anything else, sir?
No, that's all.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Administrative assistant items? Nothing? Okay. Public comment?
I'm back commented now, thank you.
Good.
We'll move on to staff reports. Good morning, sir. Airport, first up.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you
Morning.
for coming.
Hey, Bob.
Appreciate that.
Morning.
Is your partner in crime back in the U.S. after going to Texas?
I don't think so.
Haven't talked to him?
I haven't talked to him, haven't seen him,
Haven't heard from him either.
haven't heard from him.
I thought he was getting back today, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he gets back one of these days.
Before the middle of the month, right?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
How's things going for that meeting for the commissioners at the airport? Everything okay?
Yes.
Talk to your partner in crime about it.
See, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to be in
You can
charge of
blame
that
him.
anymore, do
That's
you?
it. Talk to the,
17th, yeah.
Get it cleaned up, get the water out from under the fire truck.
fire truck's not there right now.
Oh, isn't it?
No, they moved it to someplace to get it repaired.
Oh,
Get that leak finally
huh.
Take care.
Good.
So they got a little brush truck in there. Anyway. We had actually a pretty good month for March. We sold 348 gallons of fuel. We got 2,485 in the tank.
One more time in the tank.
2485. It's pretty good for, March was a pretty crappy month,
Yeah.
weather-wise.
Weather-wise was not real good, but the few days that we had some good weather, people were out
Buzzing
flying
around.
so did a pretty good job. I've checked the average price of fuel. The average now is still $4.61, although Fremont and Pueblo are at $4.40 and $4.49 respectively.
And we are at,
$4.55.
oh, so we're not that far off of those other guys. They were 441.
$4.40 and
We
$4.49.
can do a gas war with them and drop her a nickel. See what happens.
Anyway, we're just about at the point where we're gonna be able to lower the price a little bit. I thought that when we get around 2,100, 2,200, we'll be able to drop our pricing a little bit. I got the notice to airmen list authorization to issue notams out this month, last month. Our special use permit is done. At our last board meeting, there were some people that wanted some minor changes, and I got those changes done, and as soon as they get approved at our next board meeting, then our special use permit will be ready to go.
So by done, you mean the work from your board?
Right.
Okay.
Work from our
This
board.
is the SUP with the fire department you're talking about?
No,
No,
this
it's
is
for the airport.
for the airport. What you can.
They're gonna submit a special use permit.
Got it. I mean, got it.
And that will go back to Jackie?
Yes.
And then eventually come to the commissioners?
Yes.
Thank you.
A public meeting, from what I understand.
Sorry.
Yeah, actually, it'll probably go to the planning commission first. SUPs.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jackie going back there to coordinate.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got it. We're working on policies for the courtesy card. We came up with a little rendition of it, and somebody thought I needed some major changes, so I've got the major changes.
Well, good.
There's some things in there that I'm not real happy about, but we'll get it done.
Did you get the two vehicles back down to the airport, or are they still at Road and Bridge?
Still Road and Bridge. And speaking of Road and Bridge, I've got to give them a lot of credit. We had an issue with our little plow truck.
I was gonna ask about.
Yeah, both of the hoses that moved the blade up and down, left and right, were leaking badly. We took them off and took them down to Road and Bridge, and they turned them around, and they're back on, and we did an FCF on the truck, and it worked right.
Good.
So,
Excellent.
Where do you have that truck parked now? Is that?
it's in the hangar.
It's in the hangar?
Yep.
Okay.
In the hangar or in your operations building?
In the operations building.
Can't help but call a garage a hangar if you're an
Yeah.
aviator.
Yeah. I ordered a new fuel filter and invoice. The order was right, the invoice was right, the shipping document was right, and I opened the package and it's the wrong filter. Not even close to being the right one. So consequently, the bad news is we're gonna be overdue on a filter change. Good news is the one we have is working very well. Our differential pressure is holding steady, and we're not getting any water. It's still doing its job.
Who shipped it anyway? Was it an Amazon or was it a
No.
FedEx or what?
No, it came UPS, but it was shipped by FBO parts. And I've ordered the same battery from them for 9 years, and this is the first year they've gotten it wrong. I have the paperwork for our fuel rebate of 4 cents a gallon filled out and ready to go, so I'll need to get the commissioner to sign that. I didn't bring it with me today, but it is ready to go. And that's about all I've got for the airport.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Johnny, thank you. A while back, maybe a meeting before last or last, there was a question about the cement driveway was broken.
Yes,
What's the status of that?
it's still broken.
And what's the plan for it?
We have mentioned it to the fire department. They came out and looked at it. They're aware of it. I guess they're taking it to their folks to find out what needs to be done, but we'll stay on top of it because it needs to be fixed.
So that's movement, that's good, thank you, sir, I'd kind of forgotten about that, so.
Do they acknowledge they did it?
They're pretty sure they did it.
Can't help it.
Cause we can invoice them and add 2% on to
Well,
that.
yeah. Make sure
And then
that,
ignore it.
make sure that comes out to
Ignore their requests.
$345, okay? As long as the dollar amount's right,
Right.
we're in good shape.
We had two of them out there and pointed it out to them, and
Okay.
they sat and talked about it for a long time, and they pretty well know that they know.
Yeah.
Good.
They call it.
Okay, they're working on it, you're working on it,
Yes.
that's great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody's aware of it.
Good. Okay. Well, we're looking forward to coming out on the 17th, and that should be fun.
The only thing is, the table's pointing the wrong direction. And I
How
can't
can that
move it.
be?
No, you cannot move it, I guarantee that. Oh, this is kind of an inside deal, but when we hauled the new conference table out there, we set it in the room north and south, and Lynn and I got to talking about the arrangements for the board meeting, and I said it'd be nice if it ran this way, east and west. We could sit on the backside and face whatever audience there was. So Lynn told Bob, you got to turn that table around. The thing weighs about 1,200
Gotta
pounds.
get a crew out there.
So we may just turn it when we get there.
That room to get around the ends, you could turn it?
Yeah.
Pretty tight.
Yes, yeah.
It's gonna be tight, but there is
Doable.
enough. Yeah, it is
We
doable.
can certainly use it just like it is if we had to too, but,
The audience may have to help, but
yeah, we may have to get everybody,
Yeah,
6
here.
people on each
Pick.
side, pick it up and turn it, so.
That thing is heavy.
Do we need to bring some extra chairs down, do you think, or,
I have no idea how many people will be there.
yeah?
You got how many? There's like 13 or something.
Yeah,
in
13.
common.
We probably.
But I think we can handle
do one.
it. Except
What's
everybody
on
might
the
wanna come
agenda?
out and
Is
visit.
there something controversial on the agenda?
Never. I don't believe there is, but
We don't do controversy.
we don't do controversy, yeah. That would be crazy.
What silliness.
I could load some of these chairs up and bring them down too. I hope we have a big crowd, actually.
I do
It'd be
too.
nice if they come out and take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think the chances are having a plane or two sitting on the
I think that could be great.
apron? Be kind of fun for
We got a couple right now out there.
Free rides?
free rides.
You see, you might get a good crowd then.
Tell you what'll get them is get some apple fritters.
Well, yeah, you have food, that goes
Advertise
around.
that.
Yep.
We'll get the coffee pot going.
Yeah. I mentioned to Lynn, oh, it'd be nice to maybe have a little hot dog after our meeting out there before everybody runs back to town. So we'll see how
Serve
that
lunch.
Well, that's
goes
awesome.
along.
It's a long drive.
There's lots of things you could do to promote this, Bob. This is not a hint.
Yeah. Out of the clear blue sky, I got a phone call from a gentleman from Oklahoma, and he wanted to know about the red airplane sitting out at the intersection.
oh, did he call you? He called me
concerned that-
looking for your number.
Missed the runway.
I said, I can tell you what I know, and you'll be disappointed because it's not much. He said, well, I'm interested. I said, well, my understanding is a Russian fighter training jet was donated, and there it sits. He said, that's good enough. I'll research it from there. So,
You trying to get some stats on it or something?
When he called me, he said him and his wife drive by there when they come up, and he's just always been interested in what is, how did it get there, and what is it?
This was the enemy.
Well, does he wanna buy it?
Yeah.
Figure out the price and add 2%.
$345.
Kinda hooked it locked into that 2% thing.
I have to come clean. I was on the 13th tee box when he called me. My partners gave me the business for taking a phone call while we were
Playing golf.
in the middle of a round of golf.
Very inappropriate.
Yeah, they got a big kick out of that.
Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah,
Is it Mar-a-Lago?
it was Mar-a-Lago, so my assistant answered the phone. I would have kept ahead. Anyway, so that was fun. All right, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Mr.
See ya at the next meeting. See you at the next meeting.
Our next item. Just trying to save you
Save
the
you the energy here.
Trying to save you the energy. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good morning.
You're back among the folk.
Was I
Cindy.
missing?
I thought you had a couple of days off.
Oh, well, yeah, but
Well, I missed you.
I didn't get to go to Utah. My doctor's appointments were just rescheduled for
Oh.
the snowstorms. Everybody
Oh.
canceled everything.
Oh.
It snowed.
Got it. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good. Good, good.
I have a few highlights on that report, updates I want to give you. May 21st is going to be the 402 class, which is Introduction to ICS for executives and elected officials. I know Jay's had it. It's being hosted by the town of Silver Cliff at 2 p.m. Eileen, I think, or at 4 p.m. May 21st, yeah.
What time?
4 p.m. And it's either going to be at the Silver Cliff building, but Eileen may move it to Tony's. So we'll have a flyer out. It's a month out, but
What's it called, Cindy?
G402.
Yeah, I've been reading about that.
And Christy will teach it, so my advice
Is
is
it O or 0?
402.
402.
Yeah, I read
Keep the
that.
war stories to short and keep
Okay.
her moving. And it could be a 2-hour class.
Block it out for 2 hours.
They've got it scheduled for 3.
Starting
Christy
when?
likes to go as long as 4, so there was some conversation of
I missed the start time. So.
4 p.m.
We
3
got
hours? No way.
Yeah, just keep.
Cindy sent an email to us about it.
Yeah, and Christy Coleman will be teaching, so she'll get a flyer, but that's in later. We
It's
had
not
some.
wedding anniversary. I may have higher calling.
There's a PowerPoint you can download from the FEMA website if you want to self-educate.
I'll do that.
Yeah, hopefully the new mayors and mayor pro tems and some folks that haven't taken it will take it because it is a good class to have ahead
I
of time.
remember it was very good.
Yeah. The radios, there were some radio issues, and Buck has a friend by the name of Mike Knox with State Radio in Pueblo. Mike taught me everything I needed to know in about 20 minutes on the phone, and got me a copy of the state inventory. We actually have 381 DTR radios on our inventory in Custer County.
Yeah.
377 are active. I know there's a lot of broken ones. The big thing is the aliases are not right, the zones are not right, the organization who owns them are not right. It's a mess from way back from the original Homeland Security grants in like 2004 or 5. So.
And for the first and only time ever, I actually used my radio a few days ago. BOCC2, I broke
And
it.
you were on the wrong channel, you came across on EMS. So, in case your ears weren't burning, they probably didn't hear you, but everybody else did.
Yeah. Good news is, the bad news is.
We need a radio training. And Vernon had an open mic for 10 minutes, and there were some other issues, so, yeah, it's, radios.
I apologize for doing that wrong.
Well, I
I apologize for doing that wrong.
There you go.
Practice it.
There you go. How in the world? I mean, I've been on my radio. I've not
Yeah.
called out on it, but it's tough to know what channel you are
Well,
on.
I was able to listen,
Mhm.
so I thought, obviously not correctly, that if I just keyed on that channel that I'm hearing from, I'm broadcasting back onto the same
You
channel.
probably were on scan and you were actually on EMS and hearing traffic on a
Because
different
EMS
channel.
said, who was this and what was this about? And I answered it. Okay, sorry about that.
No, I heard about it from dispatch, so.
Not surprised.
And then also just an update, Elbert County, is also upset with Motorola, has been evaluating Kenwoods, and they're going to Kenwoods. So I think, even SARS turned around and on to the Kenwood, program here, so I just thought it was really interesting that Elbert County had as big a frustration as Shannon and Beth and some of the other folks. On the Ready, Set, Go, I signed the extension of the contract yesterday with Kevin. We added 5 parcels. They gave us an extra $1,880. They were offering us $5,000 more, but I just couldn't get another home in there. I had some people turn me down. So we should wrap that up. I got an extension yesterday, signed it as well. I've got to have all my paperwork grant closed out by the end of May. The work should be done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'd say 2 if the weather holds. we're at 51.96 acres and 13 homes treated. The first group of 9, 8 of them had a cost share, 1 of them's doing in-kind. And 4 of those 8 have already paid their cost share, so they're in the deposits. And then I got all those grant applications in on the Homeland Security Grant Program. The corners vehicle I wrote as a 25% match. Larissa really doesn't think they're gonna buy you a vehicle. She thinks that space cap option, which I think I brought that bid, would fly. I guess I don't have that bid with me, but the problem with the vehicle is they're gonna wanna know who's gonna drive it, and is it only gonna be driven by its corners business and, you know, not to a town meeting or anywhere else. And, I'll fight for it at the April and May meetings. And I got all the grants from around the region yesterday, and Fremont County, they've gotten a mass casualty, vehicle, I think last year. Now they want, the mass casualty tent and some other things, and so I'm always telling everybody at these meetings, I don't need a mass casualty, I just want a single dead vehicle, give me something. But Beth wrote a really good letter on how our ambulances are out of service when we have a fatality. So we'll see how that goes. And then I put in for 2 VMS signboards, because Larissa thought it was good to double it up, and, which is always nice, so.
Well, and educate me a little if you don't mind. Now,
Okay.
typically, I get mass casualties probably a different deal, but typically the ambulance service doesn't transport corps, is that right?
Right. And in every other jurisdiction in the South region, they have a funeral home. They have options. They have multiple ambulances. They have funeral homes. They have options, and we don't. And we put an ambulance out of service. I asked Beth if she had any stats from, if we've actually missed a call. One of the things they like to do in these Homeland Security meetings is, say, this is a life emergency.
Right.
Well, if I'm having my heart attack when somebody else is laying dead in the ambulance, I think that's going to be a life emergency. So we'll see how it goes. They're tricky. It's FEMA Homeland Security money, so you gotta type them with the FEMA typing, and they're a pain. And some of the other projects the other counties put in are really ridiculous in my opinion. So hopefully I can get Chris or Buck or somebody to come play tough cop with me, because those meetings are really tough.
Okay. Did
But if
may I interject here? I was just going to ask my fellow commissioners, did you have a chance to look at those Homeland Security grants?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I mailed them to all 3 of you.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I can look here and
I
see.
can.
But,
He can forward them.
no. So yeah, I was copied on them, but yeah, they look good to me, so.
2 VMS messaging boards, the coroner's vehicle, some stuff to support rapid tag and salamander, and then I threw in some plotter supplies and ink, since Vern gave me that old plotter. I think they'll shoot that one down, but I needed to give them a couple projects to shoot down.
So those variable message boards, are those a regional thing too? That's
They
all
would
of
be
that is
regional,
regional?
deployable. Yeah, anything's regional
Okay.
and deployable.
Okay.
If
If we write the
event.
grant, then do we house those, or what happens to
So-
them?
Pueblo's the fiscal agency. If they get funded, we have to ask, track the asset here. We have to house them, maintain them, and we can use them. But then,
If
if
somebody wanted
Levita
them,
flash
right.
floods and they need us to bring down some signs, then we'd have to deploy mutual aid. We could leave the signs like we did with the light tower during the spring fire and go back and get it a week later. Potentially some of that drive time and stuff would be billable to an incident out of county. But for the most part, it's a regional asset, and the labor part would be mutual aid.
So if we had, I'm just thinking, toxic spill south of town, which has happened,
Yeah.
we could quick run one of them variable message boards onto the south of there and use it, or not?
Yep. Oh,
Okay.
well, jurisdictionally, that would be between CDOT and probably Shannon, and Shannon would probably win, but I'm not, we
But-
can use them anywhere, but I don't know the CDOT rules, so
Okay.
I won't.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
okay, I
But
get
yeah,
that. But if
Oak
we
Creek
wanted
Road
to use
washes
them,
out.
right, exactly, we could put them
Hermit
on a
Road.
county road?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
They'd be ours, and I did it, if you saw the text on that, I pulled it out of the master plan, but I included how many miles of road
Right, I
and
saw
bridge
that.
maintains, and we did. I think we had Oak Creek Grade and Copper Gulch, and we had issues on Hermit Road this year, so there's,
So if we had a fire in the Sangres,
smoke
we-
advisory, prescribed burn,
Oyster fries.
Well, I did put in the grant that, you know, community events, because I'm sure down in Pueblo County, if you're going to the state
Sure.
fair, there are
Yeah,
signs up
sure.
saying, you know, park somewhere else, that this parking area is full, or, you know, so yeah, I think you could use that.
Are these the ones with the gas motors or battery operated?
These are battery operated. I went with
So,
the higher, the better batteries, solar panel, guide wires to stake them out.
That's good.
Yeah,
Sounds great, I hope
Yeah.
we do it.
that was what, 17,000 a piece or something?
Yeah.
It's 35
Little-
total.
mhm.
Spend money on business.
Yeah, and the light shower was around
Buy some stock and then come.
7,500. And we may have to put it out for official bids for more vendors, because you have to meet Custer County's or Pueblo County's purchasing policy, which is very strict rule too. But there's probably not a lot of places to go besides Wayneco, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. So that's the Homeland Security grants.
Yeah. No, they look good. Thank you for doing that. That'd be great if we could score a couple of those messages boards.
I'll be at the 9 Health Fair Saturday, so I'm probably not working Thursday. Gotta change my hours around. I was at Solar Cliffs meeting Monday night. And then Vernon, I know Vernon's out. I'm having some issues with email, and I can't email Meredith. I can reply to hers, but every time I try to do the BOCC admin, it just shoots it out. So there might be some other issues on my
I think it's
PC.
admin BOCC. Maybe you
No.
got it backwards. No.
BOCC admin.
I think it's right. It's not rejecting it as like a not found, it's refusing to send it.
Wow.
And so far, I don't see having problems with anybody else, but, and then I've
You're
got
spammed is what the problem is.
something, yeah, she's blocked me. And then I'll start working on my EMPG quarter closeout with the reports. They didn't move that all online yet. Someday it's gonna go online. It's gonna be a mess. And I do have to start turning in all my hours with EMPG now. That's a new federal requirement. Christy Coleman said, that's okay, just put down, 8 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I thought, no, I'm gonna put down exactly what I track like I always track them, because it's not just 8 hours a day, and I don't necessarily just work 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. So, you had asked on my leave request for a copy of hours, and what I do is I keep them on a phone, on an app. I paid to upgrade the app to download them. When I turned in my leave request, it was supposed to be March vacation, annual leave. It wasn't. The one before wasn't either. But I went through last night, and I do have a lot of comp hours. My comment on the comp stuff is, I was under the impression that all went away when Bob and Donna and Jade changed the HR
Personnel.
guidelines. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think we need to revisit that.
I don't want to mess myself up. And
Right.
in the old guidelines, it was 90 days. So through Q1, I've got like 87 hours of straight comp time.
Yeah.
But if comp time's not allowable, comp time's not allowable. But I think we all need to be on the same page.
No, I think it is allowable. I think by FLF, Fair Labor Standards, right, that the employee has the option of taking it as comp time or paid overtime. That's my understanding. I looked to Miss Donna.
And when you're exempt, you don't get the overtime that you
Right.
have to comp.
Yeah. So, and so as I indicated in my email, I don't view this as a challenge. I view this as we gotta get on the, make sure everybody's on the same page. We actually have a meeting scheduled on the 17th of April with supervisors and elected officials to discuss this, so.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is that there's 10 exempt employees, I would like to be treated
Exactly.
the same as the other 9. So, but, under the old guidelines.
Special, come on.
Yeah.
I am special.
Well, and here's the thing too, Cindy, in all honesty, I mean, and this is a problem, it is not your problem, this is a commissioner problem, and I've spoken to Donna about this. If any one of those 10 employees come to one of us and say, I'd like to turn in this leave request form, unless these two gentlemen are operating differently than I am, I'm going purely on faith and trust. I have no record keeping, and that is absolutely not acceptable in my opinion. So it's not that we're challenging everybody. I think we need to do a better job as commissioners for the employees that report to us. Certainly you're one of them, but you're right, you're one out of 10. And so I just think we're gonna talk about that on the 17th and try to come up with some.
Yeah, I use this app called Worklog Pro just because when I started,
Wow.
I wanted something to use, and I remember one time Bob Katnick wanted me to go into more detail, and but I can view my shifts, you know, weekly, daily, monthly, and I put in notes, and then that helps me write my reports and my EMPG reports because it helps me remember what I was doing that day. I don't try to break it down by 2 hours doing this or half an hour doing this because then it just takes too much time.
Okay.
So,
I've had some conversations with other supervisors, elected officials, and have looked at some of their processes. And that's what I want to talk about on the 17th is what does the commissioners need to do for a process? That's probably as efficient as anything.
well, it's something to give me,
Right.
To help me know where I'm at, especially when I'm going to a meeting on Monday night or a health fair on a Saturday, because it's just not a normal,
Right.
8 to 4, Monday through Friday in my office kind of thing. So,
Well, I just think is,
did you need to hang on to this? Or
I
you just
can,
wanted to
if,
see?
unless you need it back.
Oh, I don't need it.
Okay,
I've
yeah,
got
I'd like,
copies.
okay. Yeah, I think as commissioners, we need to have a process and plan, and so that's what we're gonna try to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, and I know I had asked for clarification a couple different times because I wasn't sure on that. So, anyway,
Okay.
I don't.
And so the one that was marked
Well,
annual vacation is the one that you wanted, right? I've gotten 2 of those.
yeah. Yeah. Well, the first one I didn't mark
Right.
annual.
Okay,
And
so this
comp
is-
time was just like a blank. It was on my form. Donna sent me a new one without that written in there. Yeah. Well, unless you're wanting me
So
to use
this
my
is the
comp time, I'll
accurate
take
one.
my annual leave. But one way or the other, I want to take it off.
Right.
So.
And your request here is for comp time.
Well,
Is that what
it was
that's for?
originally supposed to be vacation. I forgot to check the box because I didn't think that I get comp time because I'm exempt.
Okay.
If you decide on the 17th that I have some comp time coming, I should use that and save my annual leave.
So
But-
your records show you have comp time.
Well, I figured this out for you yesterday. I inserted the lines and did the hours. I normally don't do that because I thought comp time went away.
Well, to be honest with you, I did too, but then,
So, yeah,
so maybe.
figure out what the consensus is and treat me fairly, and that's all I ask. And, but I was originally planning on vacation because I didn't think there was comp time. But if there's comp time and I'm gonna forfeit it in 90 days,
You can always ask Donna.
yeah.
Well, she doesn't have a record of it.
Confused
That's
And
the
so
problem.
no commissioners have ever asked or given any direction on those
But
particular employees.
you just said the other 9 are taking comp time, didn't you?
Comp time is rarely accumulated because we work a 35-hour week,
Right.
and comp time doesn't come into play at 40.
Right.
And not many people work 20 extra hours in a month in order to even start that ball rolling. And so it really does not come up as much.
So you're a lone ranger.
Well, Vernon could if we were in an emergency situation.
Exactly.
Well, and that's where, and I haven't had time to do it, but that's where I tried to propose a plan where you transition during emergencies. Because if we have a fire and all these folks accumulate comp time and you give them a comp time or a bonus or whatever down the road, none of that will ever be reimbursable during a disaster. And I know it's a huge can of worms, and I honestly don't have time to get into it now, but it is a consideration, when that bad day happens.
Right.
Not the rest of the time, I think we're fine.
Well, your position is specifically listed as an exempt employee.
It wasn't when I started though. In the handbook, I was not exempt, and in my job description, I was exempt. And then when they got updated, they had to sync them because one said one and one said another. So.
Go ahead, sir.
So obviously, we need to come up with a policy with HR, and we're gonna be working on that. And I'm sorry you're in flux at the moment, but we'll have a plan.
And I'm sorry, I just didn't check the vacation box, I meant.
Yeah, well, I didn't never do anything with it,
Yeah.
and then next thing I knew, I got the updated copy,
Yeah.
so I was gonna wait until today when we had a chance to visit with you about that, so.
I have no worries, other than I thought I'd take vacation before summer hit this year, so that I could go into summer with a little bit better outlook than being
Okay.
toasted at the end of the season.
Sounds good.
All right, very good.
All right, yeah, I don't
Thank
think
you.
there's anything
Anything
else
else?
big on there,
Good, all right, well, again, thanks to those Homeland Security.
yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, no kidding, that'd be great, but
Okay.
you'll get some kind of award if we get a coroner's vehicle out of that deal. We might
As long
give,
as I don't get a
I
ride.
was gonna say, maybe we give you a ride in the back.
I'm not gonna ride with you.
That's like sleeping in the long-term divvy sack on
Yeah,
search and
right.
rescue. You
Yeah.
don't wanna
There's
do
your-
that.
There's your award. Thank you.
Good morning.
All right. Next item on our staff report is Human Resources and Finance. Thanks for coming in. Timing was impeccable as always.
Yeah. Thanks to Meredith Collins saying it.
Oh, yeah.
You're up.
You're up.
Yeah, I do believe we need to keep that on the schedule on the 17th.
And what time was that?
Let me look. I think it was at 2 o'clock. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I have it at 2 o'clock. You'll be able to attend? Good. Yep, good. Yay.
Just checks.
All right.
Field questions.
May, what was that,
17. Thank you for setting in on the
That's-
meeting yesterday.
That's when you're,
April, I said May. April 17th, I haven't sent anything out yet.
Yeah.
Meeting with the elected officials and supervisors on comp and overtime.
and what time?
2 o'clock.
After the BOCC.
Yes.
And you know, one of the questions that I have on it is, not that people should get comp time or not, but how to track that.
The process in that.
And how that it's okayed, as overtime, staff, if Kelly were to pay overtime, she would say, I need you to work overtime. And when it's the department head, if we're just working that and it maybe wasn't necessary, or they needed to do more, or, what that process, and I don't have an answer. But how we know what kind of, we have no time sheets, we have no time
That's
slots.
exactly what we need to talk about.
And so, that people are not being shortchanged, but then also not taking advantage of it.
Absolutely, that's the whole purpose.
And I
Is
don't.
this a workshop or is this a?
Workshop.
Okay, so we're not gonna be able to come to any conclusion on how we're gonna handle it. Would it make more sense to be a BOCC meeting? And that way we can come to a consensus and
I
vote
think
on
it
it?
should be a meeting.
I'm just asking, I mean, they're both open to the public,
It can be either way.
but if it's
I
a,
think
if
it
it's a
needs to be
BOCC meeting, then we could say, okay, this will, we need a rule and we vote on it.
When, though, maybe, we got a lot of meetings. Can we consolidate a couple of them?
I
If we're
believe
gonna do-
that's the day that the airport commissioners meet at the airport, is that
Yeah.
day or
Right,
that
right.
afternoon?
Oh, that's right, I forgot that. We had talked about that.
Or if you decide,
Well,
you can
Do it
vote
in a
on it
meeting.
at your next meeting.
My intent is scheduling it as a workshop so that we could just absolutely do that, handle it as a workshop, and then take whatever recommendations come out of that to the BOCC meeting for action. But if you wanted a meeting, we have plenty of time to schedule it and give notice.
Here's why
Do it the same day.
I would suggest a meeting as opposed to workshop, so I can actually say, I agree with you on whoever says something. That's basically
It's true.
a vote. I mean, I'm agreeing with you,
You're
so I'm
right.
voting with you. I don't
It
know,
is.
it makes sense, we could just knock this thing out one meeting if we do it, and it makes no difference to me, it's just how we.
I don't know why we have to wait to talk about it after we talk about it.
Well, and
We talking now?
sometimes staff members might feel able to speak more freely if it's a workshop and not
Okay,
recorded.
well,
So I don't
that's a
know,
valid-
well, I have
that's
no
valid.
idea.
Well, we don't have to.
I have
well,
no opinion one way or
yeah,
the
it
other
would be
on it, so.
recorded, we don't have to live stream it necessarily, but,
I don't think it matters.
and by staff, you mean elected
Whoever
officials and
is,
supervisors.
yeah, whoever is invited to.
Well, I'm all for cutting down the time we spend at meetings.
Yeah, I
It's
just
getting to
think
grow
we're-
exponentially.
That one's already been signed.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just gave you the whole stack here,
Okay, that's no problem.
because there are a couple in the middle.
I really don't have any feeling one way or the other, gentlemen. It's just a matter of posting it and. Council, you have any input on that?
No, not really. I think calling it a workshop would be a little more informal, and just saying I agree with you is not, unless there's a motion on the table or
Right.
something.
Right, I agree with that, I understand.
And maybe once everybody knows what they want, maybe they can share.
You can add
questions and-
2% come to the meeting fee.
Did I miss that, or you were
No,
over?
I had,
Okay.
yeah, I had it.
I'll just leave it at a workshop, if people are more comfortable to speak freely, I'd rather have that than a more formal meeting.
Feel more comfortable.
And then just the following board meeting, once we have a discussion, we can make a motion and.
Okay.
Well, if you have a workshop, maybe the press wouldn't be there and your staff would be more likely to speak up.
Counselor, do we have to record workshop?
No.
Not that I think anything earth shattering is
Yeah.
gonna be mentioned there, I have no idea. But you never know, someone has
Currently
been
it
holding
is.
this in for years.
It's on the books as a workshop, so whatever you gentlemen decide.
I say let's discuss it.
Mr. Candace?
I'm good with it.
Okay, a question, I can ask it off the record later, I can ask now, it has to do with IT.
Okay,
Who determines if and when and how long Mr. Ippolito comes and works? Is that as needed basis?
I know he has been called by different departments and they have paid for it out of their own budget, so, both of those, the one that I do know of was an elected official. Whether it should have been cleared at this end, I don't know. But the one thing that was for sure, that it wasn't coming out of the IT budget if it was a specialized item for their particular part. But I,
Thought we discussed that and said that was the procedure. and we Agreed to do
I'm
it.
not aware of this, could you kind of fill us in on what's going on?
Well, after Chuck retired, correct me anytime I start getting off the rails, cause I'm trying to recollect.
see me
But
too, I can't remember.
after he retired, we maintained in the budget a half-time position in the event that we needed it. We never said we're gonna hire somebody, we just budgeted that money. And I believe either out of that money or we held back some extra money to hire him as needed as a consultant. I know he's been here off and on ever since he retired. I don't know if that's being paid out of general fund or out of IT or out of these elected official or whoever else calls him in.
It
but
is
it
being
makes-
paid out of theirs as contract. That 6 months when he was being retired, it was being paid as salary.
Yeah, but I
But
mean
he is
after that.
contract now.
Yeah.
And so if extension office used him for an hour and billed it, it would be out of extension, contract labor or salaries at their end. And
Okay,
then he's liable for his own social security and Medicare.
and if Vernon
Taxes.
uses him,
Same thing.
comes out of IT,
Mhm.
and if you use him,
I better find another money pot.
Otherwise, he's gonna take the day off and hire him
you
in.
haven't brought him in specifically.
I have not.
Okay. And if Kelly
Yeah,
needs him,
if she had brought a whole set of computers, then she would, you know.
now I'm talking about Chuck, not Vernon.
And,
Two different
and-
deals,
And
completely.
if for some reason Kelly did not have that, because I believe everybody's budgets are pretty tight, then maybe we would come and ask you if you would let us have some of Vernon's
From
money
IT or
for
from
it.
wherever,
I don't know, from that part-time,
if the crisis was big enough.
Sounds very appropriate to me. I mean, if an elected official or a group has it in their budget, and they feel it's something that they would rather not have Vernon do for whatever reason, he's too busy, they need something immediately, they have a full-time person working on it, and they choose to expend their budget on it, it sounds to me like it's working well.
Yeah, I agree with that, as long as we don't get into an issue of outside of the elected officials.
One thing we just heard, that if it's outside of, if it's not out of a budget from an elected official, it would come to us for approval and we would determine where the money
Where it
would come
comes
from.
I would ask, but I would have to ask.
Yeah, there's
because I
certain-
don't have, any,
There's certainly no policy that exists to make what you just said happen.
Actually,
That's
there
why I
is,
brought it up.
if you think about what are informal, or it's not informal. Everybody knows we have an IT department, if they're working for us, that's the first course they go to, right? If for some reason Vern can't do it, he'll tell them, and, for whatever reasons, and then that would, if it's something that he thinks ought to be helped, then he can come to us for that, or they can come to us. I mean, I don't think we have to spell it out,
My thought would
as long as
be,
they come to us.
I think we do have a policy for this, that's why we have in their budget that they can hire, contract labor.
Yeah.
And we don't dictate what kind of contract, trying very hard, what kind of contract labor to use. And even if we have an IT person on staff, if they feel that for whatever reason, that they need to go outside of that, maybe it's beyond Vernon's, expertise or whatever, that's why they have that in their budget for whatever. So I think we do have a
I
policy
think
for
we're
it.
okay.
and just as a side note, as far as Vernon's expertise, I've not heard anything bad about that.
Right.
The problem is arising is these are programs that Chuck has written, they are his programs, and when they take a digger, unless you're the programmer, I don't know if you can fix them. I mean, I don't know if, like my check writer or my 1099, if I came to November or December and it wasn't working, I would have to call Chuck to fix that, because he is the writer of it.
Then I would say that is a problem that needs to be addressed. Because someday Chuck's gonna move away or say, I'm done, I'm not coming back. I would hate to be an alert, so I would say we need to come up with a plan or a procedure to phase into something that
So
is
that would
not
be,
dependent on a single individual.
so that is perfect for Vern, because he's the guy that's gonna have to, he's the overall IT guy. He ought to look at what's there, what needs to be replaced, obsolete, things that need to phase in and out. He could bring that to us at some point. I mean, some of this is pretty old stuff.
Right,
And
and like
he's gotta look
the
at it
check
anyway.
writer program, is all the handwrittens go through there? I don't think we have but maybe one typewriter in the whole building, and that replaced it, so it saved us a huge amount of money that I just set it on there, it runs through and I use it, but if that were to go, would I go to town of Westcliff and sit in the corner? I mean, I don't know what I would do.
You just have to come up with a different program.
And
Because one of my programs that Chuck did wasn't working, and it's because the data that I was putting into it added, where they sent it from, added an extra column, so it didn't mesh with the program. And so I've been talking with Vernon, and he said, I think I can come up with a better way to do this, where you don't have to use that program. And so that's what we're kind of working on,
Yeah.
like, just,
Yeah, certainly that's the issue with custom-built programs written by someone. They're tailored to that person.
Right. Or a company or whatever, and Vern ought to keep on top. He should, I know he is. If somebody's got an issue, they come to him first, right?
yes, I believe so. But, that, I mean, it saved us untold amounts of money with that, but same if you can.
Can I suggest when IT, the next time they have come before us, let's discuss this and see if we can come up with how big a problem is this? Is it your one program or a multiple? And then what can we do to have a backup plan? Because if we have one person who does it, that's just not a good plan. I was talking
And
about
you
Chuck.
can't go back to the old fashioned way.
I know, it's like, that would be really bad. Well, I don't think I can print them by hand. The typewriter I don't mind, but I don't think I could write them if I don't have something.
Sure. That's a problem.
Thank you,
We'll
ma'am.
move forward. Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
As usual.
Ready.
James walking down.
Extension's next, but would you put on the agenda next time IT comes to discuss this issue, please? Thank you.
Do you want him to come maybe the last day and do his report of the month?
Well, when does he normally do
Well,
that?
it'd
Or
be yesterday.
It would have been
It's
Oh,
yesterday.
yesterday,
So
he
we
did
can
too.
put it on for
Put it on the 17th if we
17th
want.
or 30th. Since 17th's out at the airport.
Howdy,
Miss Janine.
Whatever one y'all would want.
Good morning. Let me think about that a little bit. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Guinevere, nice to see you. Oh, you got a big smile on your face. We appreciate that.
We'll wipe that off fast.
Yeah, oh yeah, we can take care of that.
Dang.
Won't take long.
We've got experience in that area. That's exactly right. How's things going upstairs?
Pretty good. Here's
Good.
exciting every day.
Good. We've got your report, obviously, so thank you for sending that.
Yeah,
How we treating you?
pretty good, pretty
You
good.
happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went up the other day and asked her the very same question, almost word for word,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I just wanna
I
make,
think you ask everyone, actually.
I do,
Yeah.
because I wanna make, this needs to be a fun place to come and work, and if there's an issue we need to address, let's address it.
Yeah, no.
That's why I
great.
ask.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate the concern.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So the only thing is, I have lots of dates and times wrong. So, this
Well, in that case,
They change quickly
the speech contest is 5:30,
on
and then, this Friday.
this Friday.
And then-
Oh, I did not have that.
Cottage Foods is the 23rd.
what is Friday?
Speech contest,
Yeah.
4-H,
Yeah.
5:30.
Where?
Where is it?
Tony's Mountain Pizza.
Tony's.
Yeah.
Any idea of your numbers?
We just printed out the thing, I think there's 7 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Somewhere around in there.
Okay, you got your judges. Do you do that, or is it, you have somebody else doing all that, in charge of
Sarah-
that?
yeah,
Oh, she's in
Sarah
charge
and
of that,
Sons
good.
do that. So,
5:30.
5:30, yes. So it's 4:30, but
What else is
Like
wrong?
that's what the email
What else
said.
you have wrong, Glenda?
Oh, you know, who knows?
and then the cottage
Cottage
food
Foods,
safety
oh yeah,
is when?
the 23rd.
23rd.
Instead of the 24th.
Yeah. I was telling everybody and then I looked again and yep,
So
sure
it's on
enough.
Tuesday, correct?
Yeah.
And these are all on your Facebook page.
Yes,
2 to
yeah.
5.
I'm gonna send a PSA to you guys, or a press
Wonderful.
release. Yeah, so, look for it.
I will make every effort to be at the speech contest.
Where would it be held?
Saddle Club. Well, not the speech contest.
No,
we're
the
talking
speech contest is what I'm asking.
Right.
Tony's.
5:30.
Tony's.
Thank you.
The food safety course is out at the Saddle Club building.
We've already got like 8 people signed up for it, so that's
Good,
exciting.
good. I hope they're not charging you for that facility out there.
I haven't heard a word, so
Okay.
we keep going
You
out
do.
there.
You do, you let me know, would you?
Yeah.
How'd your advisory committee meeting go?
Going great.
Good.
We didn't have full attendance, so we just kind of talked about emerging issues and, how we can, focus on 4-H this year and really make sure that it's supported and then kind of grow programs out from there, so.
we did kind of discuss, and I'm sure you're aware, but a central meeting location for all 4-H stuff would be really great. I know you guys are working on that out there, but just you needed another reminder. There it is.
Yeah.
Just because there's always like here and there, and clubs sometimes have a hard time moving. So.
Obviously different times of the week and different times of the day.
Yep.
How many are meeting on Sundays, do you know?
All the 4-H clubs are meeting on Sundays, so that's, well, except for Clover Buds. So 3 club meetings on Sundays, and then Clover Buds is on Fridays. The shooting sports, when they have bad weather, have to cancel, but you can also hold indoor, like, you could talk about science of shooting and things like that, and that would count as a practice. So, any given month, it's like 5.
So if we did have a central location, and all those meetings are held on Sunday, they would just have to decide what times those are gonna be, and they could rotate through that facility.
Yeah.
I have a facility in mind, but I thought, man, if there's 4 or 5 clubs trying to meet on Sunday,
Yeah.
they would have to agree to some different start times. Is
Yeah.
that gonna be a
Do they all
problem?
meet on the same Sunday?
Yeah. The fair board and 2 club meetings are on the exact same time on the same day. Yeah. It's kind of hard. But yeah, so that's just something we've been talking about. So yeah. And so, with whatever's going on at the fairgrounds, if the need arises, I'm happy to help write grants or things like that to support extension. So.
Okay. Anything else? Gentlemen? Any
Let's do it.
questions? Okay. My granddaughter said, Papa, you were acting a little crazy at the carnival, but it was okay because it brought people to our booth. I said, well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
You look like you're having a good time.
She was in charge of the booth that threw a softball at 3 bowling pins to try to knock them down.
So you were hawking their
So
wares.
I was hawking their booth for Melinda. Yeah, she said, you were kind of wild, but it's okay. So, yeah, it looked like a reasonable turnout for
Yeah,
that.
I think we're down, but I'm just accepting that this year's gonna be a little bumpy, so we'll figure it out next year.
Yeah, I thought that day, I thought back of the old days when the Halloween carnival was at school. There'd be 300 kids in that gym, out of control. I mean, it was every man for himself. Yeah.
Fun time.
You took a tetanus shot and went in with a crash helmet on because it was wild.
That's awesome.
But I thought they had a decent crowd. So okay, well, thank you for coming down. We appreciate it. Let us know if you can do it.
That's all right.
You guys, gentlemen. See you later.
Check your wallet now. You shook Clint's hand.
Uh-oh. It's all in my pockets. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice lady.
Oh, that was a great hire. Yeah, so far I think she's done a great job. I just love her spirit, she's just always
That's my
got
point. I
deep.
mean, anybody that comes in with that kind of smile, even if Clint tried to get it off,
DHS.
Yeah.
it was still good.
Yeah.
DHS.
I called it.
Really?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. How are we gonna make it so we hit to 1 again?
We're gonna get on a big roll with DHS.
Okay, good.
Keep it rolling.
And you're aware that Christie is not coming this afternoon.
Morning, everybody, how are you? I see I'm gonna do it right away while I'm around.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. It's not quiet in here.
It's called hangover.
Oh, okay, it's quiet right now.
Congratulations on your new hire.
Oh, thank you.
I think I know her
Yeah.
personally.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
she's a wonderful lady.
Oh, yeah, we got her in training, started yesterday.
Experience.
She'll do that in 3 days, and then next week she does it for 3 days, and that kinda goes, yeah. We were doing the trainings in Fremont County, and I don't know what's going on with Fremont and the state, but anyhow, they're not using that training center anymore, so we thought we were gonna have to go to Springs, but they're having them in Pueblo. And at the training we were at yesterday, they're trying right now to work out an agreement with CSU Pueblo because they've started a social work, offering social worker classes down there. And MSW is down at the college, and so this kind of fits in with that. So hopefully that way we won't have to travel quite as much. When they go to the Springs, we end up paying more money because we have to have rooms and stuff. And right now, most of the time, unless the weather's bad, they just drive back and forth. So
Fun is driving back and forth.
yeah, because I told her you can. She's in Pueblo, and I told her if you wanna. And she's right on the edge of Pueblo, and so I said, you can drive, you can get a motel room. She said, well, I think I'll just drive, because it's not that big of a deal. So,
Good.
whatever you wanna do, if the weather gets bad, but this time of year it's not too bad, so you never know.
Good.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
I'm just gonna follow up on Jay's comment. I don't know which is more exciting, have a new hire or have 3 new desks.
well,
Those are nice.
I come in and, cause Tracy Kitchen got my desk put together on Friday. He was still working on it, he was still working on it when I left at 6, and he pretty much told me to go home after I went and got him a sandwich. And he
Well,
says, it's
nice.
gonna take me at least another hour to do this, and you don't need to sit here. And I said, yeah, just close the door and turn off the light, it's just gonna lock itself. But, so then Monday, we had to get the old one out, move one over there, and then I just kinda threw stuff in drawers. And then I had to be gone yesterday, so I come in and I'm like, I don't know. We had this form and I don't know where I put it because it was on my desk and I had to move it and now I don't know where it is and I need this thing and it's like.
Clean house, can't find a kitchen table.
Well, this is it, I had to get, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel so displaced because I can't figure out where anything is, but it'll come around, it will.
This too shall pass.
Hopefully, but it'll work. And then when Vernon gets here and I can have him do some stuff because where my hard drive is not really working and we wanna put it down here, but the cords aren't reaching. So I don't know if he's got some additional cords so that we can get it on there so I can get it off of where it is. But we'll get it worked out.
Good.
I'm confident we're gonna get it worked out.
I am too.
No doubt.
Hoping maybe.
Question will be, will your sanity be intact?
Well,
when you're
that's
done?
true too, and yeah, and if, everything always just has to happen at once, and we got all this stuff going on, then we have to be at training and da-da-da-da-da, but whatever. Stacy's getting her knee finally done next Wednesday, and we were supposed to have training this week, next week, and the following week, and so she was worried about that because she wasn't gonna be able to do those 2 trainings, so when we were at the training yesterday, we found out that they canceled the next 2 weeks, which is marvelous. They're gonna have them another time because the system, we're doing updating, modernizing the system that we use to track child welfare. And so they're still having some problems with the bugs, so they canceled the training, which really works out good for us, so hopefully. We're gonna see positive stuff pretty quick, we just know it.
Big scope her knee or?
Yeah, she tore the
Meniscus.
lateral and the bilateral meniscus, so she did. She tore one about a year and a half ago and didn't do anything, and then fell on it and tore the other one. So now it's really bad, so. Anyhow, the first page is, we're just into February, so there's nothing too glaring there. We're okay. We're okay on everything, how's that? We're just, like, I don't know where you're at. Old age
Second page
pension,
is where I'm at.
yeah, old age pension, that's, state run program, so but that just shows where we're at. And LEAP, if you look at LEAP, that's, for February, that's 150, that's a big payroll because that's the second payroll of the LEAP program, so that combined the first payroll and combined payrolls for October, November, November, December, January, and then February, so they're all combined in that, so that's why that looks more.
Yeah.
And we are, compared to last year's numbers on LEAP, we're down a bit, and we have sent stuff out, the state has sent out reminder little postcards to everybody, but I don't know, it seems to be down a little bit, so we'll see what happens with that. Rhonda sent out some stuff again the other day, so we'll see what happens with that. And then our Medicaid transportation, I found this one interesting because we had more payments for less amount of money.
Mhm.
It just depends on where people are going
Mhm.
as to how much we're doing with that. And then our community service block grant, we still have money in that. I'm supposed to get more, we'll see, but right now I'm doing fine with that. And then Energy Outreach Colorado, same thing, I still have money in that. And I've had more people asking me about help this month than I've had last month, so it goes in cycles, I don't know why. And then our food assistance house, is this what this one is? Oh, yeah, SNAP, yeah. So this is our food assistance.
We got 230 households.
Yeah.
Is that what we had last year?
I don't know, I don't
That's
know,
quite a bit.
I could look, cause I have these reports from last year, I could look to see,
That's quite a few.
yeah. Yeah, we're definitely seeing, we see, it goes up and down, we see people come in and leave, and come in and leave, and come in and leave, and so, this time of year, we always have more for the simple fact, we have a lot of people that do construction and stuff, and the weather's bad, they can't do it.
On that SNAP assistance, is it restricted on what you could buy with the, I mean, can you buy alcohol and
Oh,
tobacco
no.
and those kind of things?
You can only buy food products.
Got it.
And they can't buy dog food, or they can't buy cleaning supplies, they can't buy alcohol, cigarettes, or any of that stuff. They've had a thing where, because you get it on a EBT card, a debit card, and you can get some people, if they have a money payment, like old age pension or something, it goes on that card. So, you get casinos like in Cripple Creek that have ATMs in there, and so we have to give the people the sign saying that they won't use it in any of those. They're not even allowed to go into the casino to get their money off of the card. And Black Hawk and Cripple Creek, those counties sometimes that's the only places there are ATMs.
It's hard not to pass up a one-armed bandit.
Yeah,
on the
but
way
they
up.
said, like Cripple Creek, they don't have a whole, I don't know, they may have a bank, I don't know, I think they have a bank there, I don't know.
They must have an
But they said, some of these people are just getting it off at the ATM because that's the only place they can get it off. But we have to have them sign something that says that they will not use their EBT cards at those type of facilities.
Thank you.
Let's see here, I was looking a year ago,
Oh, because you got it in there, because I could look, because I haven't back to it.
number of payments, I'm not seeing the number of households, but that's what you were asking about,
Yeah.
Commissioner Kander?
Yeah. Yeah, it should have households, because if you got payments, you should have households there. But I
It's
can look it up.
EOC, right, not LEAP?
No, we're looking
SNAP.
at SNAP.
Snap.
Sorry, I
We're
was on
looking
the
at
wrong
SNAP.
document.
We're looking at SNAP.
210.
February of last year was 210.
Oh, yeah, so
January
it's
was
up by 20 households, yeah. Yep. Yeah, we feel it too, we have more people walking in and,
Bet you do.
yep, applying online, I see a lot more applying online.
The reason I asked, I heard, and I don't even remember how I heard it, but the word's out, come to Westcliff because the services are better.
Well, we're not better.
I mean, it's good advertising,
I know.
it's bad.
That's
from
bad
the
for
point
us.
of view that
Yes,
we attract a lot of poor people that need help, and they come to the worst place climate-wise.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
oh, I don't get it either, we have somebody here that, their health is horrible, and they're living here.
I don't know how they get up here because they can't afford to drive.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know why you're
Crazy.
here, and they're going up and down the hill to doctor's appointments all the
And
time.
it costs us money.
And now their vehicles broke down, and she's going, we gotta get the vehicle fixed, and I'm like, why are you here? You need to be at a lower level. I don't understand, but that's just how it goes. Okay, I'm trying to think, I don't think of anything else that's outstanding. Thank you. We're just trying to, with all of the new modernization, CVMS, that's where we do our food assistance and stuff, they're modernizing that. Trails is modernizing. I went to a training yesterday with Stacy on the fiscal side of that, she's doing the case side of that. So that's coming up in June. Trails is, the daycare program is doing a different, House bill was put in, they're changing the rates, so I had to do a new county rate plan and a new rate schedule and all that stuff, so that's in. That's coming up in July too. So it's just been kinda hectic here, but hopefully it's gonna level out. We're gonna level out and stuff, so.
So how's the hole in the wall?
Hey, the hole in the wall.
The hole in the wall gang's what I call it.
The hole in the wall is better. Dom came in and then, Chris came in and sanded and then we repainted it and it looks much, much better. Stacy still wants to put something on the wall, but we just haven't had a chance to do that. But we got it painted and having that, community service guy do that, he was really good and we got that done very, very quick. It was like, oh, great. And he did the window sills, cause we had some other paint and he did that and yeah, it looks really nice. So,
Yeah.
it looked better cause that, yeah, those walls have a lot of. Now, if you really wanna see something that looks bad, come look at our floor. Because where my desk was and my, whatever you think, that thing that you know, roll your chair on, whatever you call that thing, we pulled that mat, pulled that up, and you can actually see what color the carpet actually
Used to be.
was. And it's right out in the floor right now, so you got this nice, gorgeous thing, and then you got all this nasty stuff around it. But they've cleaned that, but that's been there since 1992, that's when they did the building, so.
That's an old carpet.
And, yeah, it's old carpet, and, you know, we were talking about, when we moved in there, had to get some chairs in, so the carpet's blue and it's got some pink and blue specks in it. So we got some blue chairs and some pink chairs, and now you can't even,
It's all great, I mean,
yeah, it's all gray,
for some guy.
except for that nice little square where my,
Ours are the same way.
yeah, and you pull those things up and we're like, oh my gosh, that's really bad, but whatever.
Funny.
Yeah, it is, it's horrible. But, okay, I don't have anything major going on that, oh, well, I was gonna say that in the month of March, we, ended up placing 11 kids,
Wow.
took custody of 11 kids in the month of March.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've been a little busy with that, and so we're really glad that we got Fonda coming on. And Tish has been great, cause she's been able to help with visits and all that stuff, which is why we have her 11
Holy mackerel.
11 kids, and so,
Place here, Fremont County, or Denver?
well, we have them here.
All of them here?
We have them well, three of them are in Fremont, just over the line, but the others are here,
Okay.
so that's helpful. But yeah, that was, but yeah, it's court, it's paperwork, it's all this stuff in our system that's supposed to be working where I have to enter some stuff because they're doing a modernization on it, isn't not working at all, and I was at that training and the gal told me, if you enter that stuff, it won't save it, so don't even bother trying to enter it. She said, what you're probably gonna have to do is do them manually, and then once we get it working, you'll have to enter them, and I'm like, okay, I'd rather, at least I can get them done, cause if we don't have them done by 45 days, we get a big ding. So we're trying to avoid all of that, so, but yeah, it's been a little crazy, but that's why we're glad Fonda's on board, and we have Tish to do, visits, and then she had to take this one gal down to have a psychological. She did that yesterday because she didn't have transportation, so she took her, and so that's really helping because we didn't have time to do it, so.
So Laura, are those local children?
Uh-huh.
And my question is, it's not 11 different families, there's siblings there,
No,
right?
it's three different, families, but 11 children combined,
All right.
yeah.
I had a couple of
This
things.
one.
One, I just wanna compliment you on your, culture in your office. Seems like everybody enjoys coming to work every day, and I know
So far.
Rhonda's struggling, but,
Yeah,
yeah, I just get a really good sense when I go in your office that people enjoy their work. And
yeah, we're trying, but yeah, we got, like, stuff going on, but we always try to keep it light if we
Yeah,
can and
right,
stuff like
yeah.
that, and so, but thank you.
Well, I certainly notice it. So.
Yeah, so,
And then if we could go back to CSBG.
you can go back to wherever you wanna go.
A couple of things.
Okay.
One is, of course, on the bar graph, it looks like there's just a huge disparity
Yeah.
between January and February. And then, yeah, that was, and then give us a couple examples of services that are covered under the CSBG grant.
Rent, and so we pay rent, we pay utilities, we can pay, if somebody needs to have like a hot water heater replaced or something of that nature, we can do that. But mostly we say rent and we say utilities.
Okay, tied to the home more than.
Oh, yeah.
Not vehicles,
We can, no.
travel.
We do, but we can help with vehicle repairs. If they are working and can't get to work because their vehicle is broke down, we can do that too. So, yeah, CSVG is emergency is what it is, and so we just use it for that time. There's an income guideline, we have to follow the income guideline on that one. But yeah, we use it for that, but mostly we see it for rent and we see it for, even though people have leaks, sometimes they don't get enough leak money, and so they come back in for that. And so I just got an application today for somebody that's got a shut off for $300. So, and I just did one. Oh no, I did that one out of EOC. So, but I've had a couple recently.
All right, thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. Anything else, ma'am?
I don't think so.
Gentlemen?
Very
Good.
Appreciate it.
So if you walk by and you see us shaking our heads and pulling our hair out, you'll know why, okay?
Good to see you.
Okay.
Hey, Stacy in today.
No, she won't be back until tomorrow. She's up in Denver at training, but she'll be back. Well, no, she won't be until Friday. Tomorrow's the last day of training. She'll be in on Friday.
I'll call her.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. All right. See you guys
Thank you,
later.
ma'am.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay.
Nets, are we done?
Unfinished business. Mr. Kanda?
Not me.
Mr. Prince?
No, sir.
Nor do I. We'll move on to new business. We'll allow public comment on action items if necessary. First item of business, approval of the liquor license. Seems like we just did this.
Didn't we do that? For
A
Alpine?
year ago.
No, we did just do one
Oh,
for
we
them,
just did one
because
for
they have
Alpine.
two.
Oh,
They've got one where they sell beer in their store, and then this is the one for their
For the
restaurant,
restaurant.
yes.
Gotcha.
And
Morning,
they're
John.
just a few months apart, so. So yeah, this is for the restaurant, and their application's complete, their fees are here, they pay $100 to us, $500 to the state. The sheriff's report is, just the same as it was, well, I can tell you when we did the other one. December.
Yeah.
So, we did just do one for them.
I move we approve it if you haven't got any other changes.
Yeah, do you wanna?
Yes.
What do you wanna?
I move that we approve the liquor license for San
It's okay.
Isabel.
I'll second it.
been moved and seconded to approve the liquor license for the lodge at San Isabel. Discussion. The fee is,
100 to us and 500 to the state,
plus 2%.
plus 2%. To claim. You're gonna make a lot today.
Yeah, I can turn this into a money-making position. I'm overpaid already.
It would be good.
we now have that on record, sir.
They don't know I pay them just for the privilege of sitting here and listening, just for all these
Mumble
words of
along.
wisdom, yeah.
Yeah, found it.
Entertainment value.
In that super comfortable chair.
Yeah.
Further discussion, gentlemen? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the liquor license for the lodge at San Isabel, say aye.
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 Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries.
And you just sign
Bottom
below,
down there.
yeah.
Love your letter. It's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next item of business, consideration of the JNR claim. I think she made you a copy of that, Commissioner Kanda. I believe we received the other by email, so we'll.
Went to the wrong city.
I don't think we need to take action, do we? Because we authorized this. Although I forgot to admit, quote, direct administrative costs, parentheses, whatever that means, is great.
You'll give me just a second, because we just got this morning, so I'd like to read through it. No, it's okay.
And then the manufacturer payroll costs.
My experience in dealing with collection agencies is that they never acknowledge any correspondence, and they act like they've never heard from you before. So,
And that's why, just a thought, would you be interested in sending it certified so we could, if it does go to a lawsuit, we have proof that in fact they did receive it?
it's up to you. It doesn't make any difference. I don't think they're not going to file a lawsuit for $345.
Have you already sent this letter, sir?
No, I've got it here. If you want me to send it, if you want to make changes or something, I can do that.
I don't mean to be, well, I do mean to be particular. The last sentence in the second paragraph, first word, I believe, should be attention instead of intention.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Good catch.
Where are we?
Second paragraph, last sentence, first word.
Should be attention.
When it was called to our attention
Oh,
instead of
okay, I see
intention.
where you're at. Yeah, attention does need to be changed.
I'm fine with the letter, you just want a consensus with that change.
Do you have it pulled up, sir?
I do.
Could you scroll down to the last sentence? So we don't It looks like my font on the sentence "then you can file" gets real strange.
Might have been the scan.
That's scanned in, I can't.
Can you see how the
Yeah.
then is, so, but yours looks normal, doesn't it?
It might be the scanned in
Yeah,
copy.
okay, thank you.
PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So it can't be different unless they printed it.
Yeah, for the record, I would move we authorize Clint to send this letter to JNR.
Well, second, it doesn't need a motion.
I don't know, I'm doing it out of safety's sake more than anything. It's been moved and seconded to authorize Clint to send this letter to JNR as a follow-up discussion, public comment. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir, appreciate that. It was on the agenda item as a consideration of, so I don't know if it matters one way or the other.
Meredith, can you print this out on letterhead or not? Or if you can, then I'll just sign it here. I've got an envelope already. Otherwise, I'd have to go home and do it because I don't have it on my.
You want me to send that back to you with the,
Yes. You have the
I will
Word
make
copy?
that change.
You have the Word copy?
No, I
That's
No, he
don't.
does
copy.
not.
Yeah, so I can't do that anyway. Do you have a, she does not have a copy, does she?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
send it.
Okay, so we'll have to make the correction and then,
I'll do it.
okay, thank you.
Do we have a
I
postage
just-
machine or use stamps?
Postage machine.
Can you do that
Mhm.
with this?
Mhm.
Then I can
And
just
do
stick
you-
it in the mail?
Do you have some letterhead at home, or do you?
Yeah, no, I have
Okay.
letterhead at home.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir, appreciate that. Anything else, gentlemen, under new business? Mr. Kanda?
No.
Mr. Prince? Nor do I. Move on to public comment. Morning, Mr. John.
Morning,
How are you, sir? Good. Any public comment?
Well, possibly, but not on what you're doing.
Oh, well, we're in the public comment
You can talk
segment.
about anything you want, John.
Well, I'm very concerned about this water issue, and I represent quite a few people that are very concerned. And I want to bring up one aspect. Bill, you represent in your precinct 80% of the water holders, water in this deal. And we don't like Upper Ark. And we want you to refrain from making deals with them and not representing us, because we have the deeds to the water. And we don't need some outside entity trying to manipulate our water. And every time we turn around, we gotta go hire an attorney.
Right.
And also, as a responsibility of Custer County Commissioners, I believe that it's your responsibility to look out for the good of Custer County people everywhere, including everybody's wells. We know we're gonna have additional growth, and we've gotta keep the water here, not flowing in a conduit, which is a creek, down to be traded off somewhere else. We're all very well aware that Upper Ark has changed from its original intent long ago, when Custer County engaged with them. Now they're a water trading, merchandising entity behind the scenes. And I wish for you all three to not get caught up in that. And because it's going to be very detrimental. I know there's an individual here that in this community that's a realtor that is basically devoted his life, or going to devote his life in that avenue. But all you have to do is go up to Upper Ark meeting and see all of the acre feet of water that they're trading on and manipulating around. And we are the last place for them to get water. A lot of I will state this, there are people on the Upper Ark board that have a conflict of interest because they have developments and they need the water from Upper Ark to make their developments work. We don't need it to come from us. So I encourage any letters to come from this county to be very firm. We want out of Upper Ark. We absolutely don't want any damn blue line deal, because that's over the top in my book. The audacity of some organization come in and overlay your planning and zoning, that's crazy. And to even support it or talk about it is over the top yet. And people are pretty upset about this, I can assure you, and especially in this precinct. So I just want you guys to stand very firm, and I want you to be united. And
Okay. Could you stand for a question or two from me, at
Yes.
least? I think I understand you are not in favor of this proposed augmentation plan that includes Custer County.
that's correct.
I'm asking you this as a ag water user and a water right holder.
Yes.
Do you believe there's a need for an augmentation plan in Custer County?
No.
Okay.
Not with Upper Ark.
Okay. do you believe there's a need for an augmentation plan from the agricultural producer's side?
I'd have to think about that.
Okay. It's been bantered around a lot in the last month or two. I've had it said to me that ag water users are not going to benefit from an augmentation plan because they couldn't afford that water in an agricultural setting. Doesn't matter really what the price was unless they were giving it away. But because of the volume and all that, it's just too much money for ag people to utilize.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That is exactly right. The other thing to do with the augmentation, a lot of the issues on the rights that may be held that you could augment with are way downstream. And so you would buy a piece of paper and never get it where you deliver. And Upper Ark's augmentation is buying a piece of paper for a given number of dollars with a wish and a promise and a dream that you're going to get the water, unless it's a situation like Donna Hood where she had a good well. See, but the interesting part of that is when you're figuring all this, go back to the very, very basics and down to your gallons that you're dealing with, and this piece of paper won't cover in perpetuity. It's a money scam. It's a different form of money scam. And if the water stays here to our benefit, to this county's benefit, this county's got to be worried about this county, not the people in Fremont County across that county line. They're regulated by Fremont County. They're a different set of rules. But you three fellas need to be worried about here, not dealing with outside people, irregardless if somebody else is involved in some other game that's going on. And that's what it is. It's a bad game. Originally it didn't start out that way because I knew a lot of the old guys that started it. And it started, I believe, due to a river call on the Arkansas River in a drought year. That's where it started.
My second question, John, is if this augmentation plan does not get put into place as an ag water user and a water right holder, do you feel like that's going to open us up to be vulnerable for an increased pressure to buy and take water out of the county from outside sources? You can go ahead and give him that.
I think that's going to be in place anyway. Upper Ark's not going to. They'll want to be a piece of the pie on those deals, and they'll argue and everything, but they're going to do that anyway. But any water right that somebody won't sell, they're going to sell it anyway. Upper Ark isn't going to stop that.
Go ahead, sir.
Just a quick comment. I just want to tell you, I hear you loud and clear. I've heard it loud and clear from day one when this issue came up. I personally am unwavering in my stance, and I appreciate you coming to remind us how important this is for you and the people you're speaking for.
Well, I thank you all for giving me the time to vent a little bit, but
No, it's important.
when it's gone, it's gone. My dad was from Ordway Crowley area, and my great-great-grandfather was instrumental in the Colorado Canal, the Twin Lakes. See, and you see what that is. Then you go up to Nathrop and see what's happened there, and the water damage to the neighboring ranches and whatnot. Upper Ark's not going to prevent any of that.
they're in the game of all of that there. And none of the upper Arkansas River drainage is ever been as productive as we are in the Wet Mountain Valley. Never. You can drive the land, and outside of right in that area where Nathrop is, there isn't any of it compares. So we're asking you, as three gentlemen representing us, to stand firm and protect us. So, thank you.
Can I have a shot at this too?
Oh, let's.
Hey, John, I want to thank
We
you.
have.
You're right on the money, and I'm going to tell you something. My family has been here for 100 and some years, whatever it is, and we have water rights also. And from the get-go, and everybody's heard me say it, the number one thing I care about is keeping the water in this valley. Period. And as what you said is a good point. There is hay from this valley that actually goes to the Kentucky Derby. That has been sold. Some of the stuff that I've had in the past has done that. And so we're absolutely right on. And I've been talking with everybody in the district. I haven't gotten to you yet, but I want you to stick around so you understand what's been going on, because it's unfortunate you can't be involved in every meeting that ever happens. So, and I do need to talk to you. So if you got a time to do that at some point, if you want me just to call you, you're going to be around here today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Get in contact with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but
I appreciate the help.
I've talked to a board member or two on Upper Ark, and what they tell you, it's a bunch of fertilizer.
I've talked to the fertilizer too, John.
Yeah.
And I've been I was upset back in 1967 or 76 when a lot of this stuff was going on that just initiated after they changed the decrees, on the wells, and you had to go forward with the new process. So I got worried about it then. So and I have not quit being engaged with this since that time.
All right. Now, I have a question for you.
Sure.
How do you feel about this blue line deal on increased density? If you're concerned about the water, and the only potential for feeding any underground water at this elevation is those irrigation rights out there when we have water to run them. How can you support, or do you, and how could you support a blue line deal of increased density?
I'm glad you brought it, because that's the things that you haven't been listening to because you haven't heard it. That's the big objection to this blue line currently proposed, because it does not augment any water to replace the water that's taken out. There's no upstream replacement. It's all on paper, and you pointed that out just now. So that's why everybody has an objection to this, because they haven't been able to prove to us whether it hurts or helps us. And so why did they file without the engineering being completed?
You're not going to push water uphill.
That's exactly right. You got it. And so the only way we can do it up here would be to have storage in these hills behind us. Could happen. And that may be a plan, that some augmentation plan, either by Upper Ark or by some private outfit, could come in here to propose. Who knows? And you pointed that out. Nobody's going to stop people from selling their water. If they want to sell it, they can sell it anywhere. And they could sell it out of the valley. And that's the biggest concern I have.
Yeah, but
out of the state.
Upper Ark's not going to stop that. See, there's some other loopholes that we've talked about. Yeah. Non-transferable water and all of that goes down the stream too. There's a lot of loopholes, but I want you to understand, Bill, Upper Ark's not our friend.
I'm with you.
So
thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Further public comment?
I hear what you said.
Hearing none, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Rose.
I'll move we adjourn. Rejourn.
I'll second.
Don't read.
Move and second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay.
Write this down. It's
Motion carried.
only 10:50.